So I want to thank the Grand Ely Lodge for letting us have the event here tonight. So I want to kick it off right away, and I want to talk about what we did over what's called a National Weekend of Action. So we just got off our National Weekend of Action, and so the National Weekend of Action is there to test each campaign for the President Trump campaign nationwide. And so what we do is that we go out there and we try and contact as many voters as we can. So for one, not only did Minnesota do a phenomenal job, we actually contacted, at least statewide, we contacted nearly 250,000 people. So that's great. But what we also did was that we just on the Iron Range, we contacted over 1,600 people by door. And then we also contacted over 7,500 people by phone. So what I want to do first is I want to give a big round of applause to the volunteers who did a phenomenal job. And so this is the thing, right? We're less than 60 days out until Election Day. And as time narrows down, the pressure gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have very important races this year, and we also have a great time to make history. Minnesota has not gone red since 1972. I'm sure a lot of you might know that. But the thing is that this is 2020, and it's time to flip the state red for President Trump. Amen. And it's also time to flip the state red for northern Minnesota. That's right. So, some of you might have just heard, the Minnesota Supreme Court just overruled that ballot harvesting is now going to be illegal for this year, for the election.
No.
Yep.
Well,
it's not legal. So, what ballot harvesting is that instead of dropping off your ballot at your specified ballot drop-off place, what happens is that you send it in by mail, and then maybe volunteers or third parties can gather your ballots, and it's not trustworthy whatsoever. This is a great way to rig an election, and we're very happy that the Minnesota Supreme Court just overruled that. So it's not really. So since we have Thomas Manninen here tonight, one thing that I really want to hammer on is how the Democrats and Rod Becklin have abandoned this area. The Democrats, they might have been the party to go to 30 years ago. They're not the party to go to this year. And there's no way in hell that one person in 3A should be voting for Rod Becklin this year. And I don't care that the man's from International Falls. We need a man that's going to represent the District 3A. And Thomas Manninen is the man to do so. We need a guy who wants to bring back the North, and that's his slogan. And alongside with him, we also have President Trump that's going to do his best to bring back the North. He's the only president that has stood up against China. And we all know that China has tried to ruin our steel industry for decades. They flooded in their weak, cheap steel in from China, and President Trump stood up and he placed those tariffs on Chinese steel. And there's been politicians in the past that have talked about doing that, but the best part about Trump is that he's not a politician.
Amen.
Trump is a man of his word.
yeah.
And that is why he is like no other president we've ever had. And that is why he's the best president we're ever going to have. So the thing is that some people, for 2016, while people voted for President Trump, they still voted for Rod Becklin. Do you get what the issue is there? The issue is that some people still think that the Democrat Party, who has represented this area, is the same Democrat Party as 30 years ago. It is time that we staple Manninen's name to President Trump. It is time that we get out there and let people know that he is going to be bringing the same policies and the same path as President Trump. The Democrats have gone completely unhinged.
That's right.
I was door knocking last Sunday in Hibbing. Some of you might have heard about this. I was door knocking in Hibbing on the north side. I was walking back to my car, got surrounded by 10 or 12 protesters and threatened me to leave. I want to tell you that I've never ever expected that to happen in Hibbing, on the Iron Range in general. And that is one example why we got to get out there and fight. They don't care about us, the Democrats. Republicans care about us up here. We got to make sure that we go out there and fight this year. We got to make sure that we unseat all those Democrats because we need recovery. We need to bring back the North, and Thomas Manninen is the man to do so. So that is what I want to conclude with. This is a big sense of urgency. For example, down in 6A, where I live, where Rob Farnsworth is running against Julie Sansky. For decades, the Democrats have ruled this area, and now it's time to flip it our way. And Rob Farnsworth is another man who has a great chance at winning this year. So, what I ask from all of you to do is, for one, to donate to Manninen's campaign, because you need money to win these things. We're also asking that you get out there and spread the word for Thomas Manninen and President Trump, because we need to win. This is not time to sit back and get complacent. This is time to stand up and fight, and this is time to win in November. So, there are many ways to get involved, as we all know. And I'm going to be begging a lot of people this year to get out there and help, because we need your help. The Democrats control the media, but what we can control is the real talk, and that is going door to door and talking to people who are on the fence this year. Because the good thing about all of this is that the Joe Biden campaign still hasn't knocked on one door. We've knocked over 2 million nationwide.
Oh, that's great.
We've made millions of calls nationwide, while the Sleepy Joe campaign is still sitting in their basements. So we need to make sure that we're out there this year. We have 59 days to make a difference. And with that being said, I want to introduce Thomas Manninen for 3A, and I want to thank you all once again for coming out tonight. So thank you.
All right, hello everybody. How are we doing tonight? Fantastic. Oh, I love being in Ely, Minnesota, and some of you may have noticed we're getting national attention up here. And here's one of the things I like about that. I truly mean this. I went to college in Moorhead, made some good friends and family, two of which are here with us tonight. They made the journey out here. But this is my home, and I do believe this is the best part of the state. So I love it when we get a national stage so people can learn a little bit more about us. A couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I was watching the RNC, and I was surprised. All of a sudden I see, now coming up to talk about logging and trucking is Scott Dane. I had not heard about this. I'm so glad that my campaign manager told me, hey, you gotta turn on the TV right now, because Scott Dane, I had the opportunity to talk to him not too long ago. It's one of the most important industries up here is our timber industry. And they're hurting right now. It's one of the reasons why I decided to run. They haven't been getting the kind of advocacy that they deserve. And a northern Minnesota without timber is a northern Minnesota that's not going to last very long. And one of the reasons why I like this president is because he takes time to listen to communities like us. Joe Biden and the Democrats are far too long. They say the establishment protects itself. So while they were in Detroit and Chicago and Los Angeles trying to appease the lawyers and the bureaucrats and the bankers, our interests weren't heard. And in St. Paul, the state capitol, while the Democrats wanted to build a new light rail and make you guys pay for it, and now they want to make you pay for the destruction caused in Minneapolis, that the governor sat for 3 days and didn't answer his phone, and he wants all of you to pay for it. Who here wants to pay for that? Governor Walz, you got your answer. Another industry that's very important that the Democrats have come out against is our mining industry. Miners and loggers built the United States of America. And the other day, 2 days ago I believe, the DFL adopted in their party platform a 2-year moratorium on copper nickel mining. While they adopt moratoriums on mining, families up here are struggling. And we've got jobs, 750 full-time jobs, 1,500 runoff jobs that Twin Metals can bring to this area. I mean, that can keep this community surviving for decades. And not just surviving, but thriving. I mean, it seems insane to me that an entire party, an entire political party, can come out against something like this. It doesn't make any sense until you start to look in the lens that the president has brought to our attention, that the Democrats of 20, 30 years ago no longer represent this area. The other day I had the honor of watching the vice president speak in person, and Iron Range mayors had endorsed the president for re-election. Former Democrats, longtime Democrats, who said this is no longer the party that represents our way of life. And I would like to specifically mention somebody who I now have the utmost respect for, Mayor Andrea Zupancic of Babbitt. Some people think, well, you endorse the president, what's the big deal? But there is a lot at stake for her personally. I'm guessing, I don't know her, I haven't spoken with her, but I'm guessing she's probably gotten some emails and texts and maybe some smears in public, because simple support of this president, it can be tough sometimes. I'm sure many of you, I saw some Trump masks that I absolutely like. But there is a risk, and for a political figure, for somebody in public office to come out and say, look, I'm not a Republican, but I need to stand up for my people, my constituents, for what is right. I have the utmost respect for her. So going forward, my campaign, I was fairly reluctant at first to throw my hat into the ring because, growing up in this community, it's northern Minnesota. They say Minnesota nice, but it's actually northern Minnesota nice. We like getting along with our neighbors. We like, we don't want somebody to stop playing cribbage with us just because we're a Republican or we support the president. But as I was talking with people in our communities, the sky-high income taxes, the business owners who are struggling, and the tax on Social Security that the Democrats have just so they can pay for all of these $1 million metro infrastructure projects, I felt it was time for myself and for our communities to say, look, this is wrong, this is going to end, and it's going to take somebody who can and will upend the whole system. And to do that, it's going to take every single one of us. Because the establishment and the Twin Cities, they don't want radical change, but radical change is what we need. We need to say yes to copper nickel mining. We need to say yes to new timber markets. We need to say no to socialism. We need to say no to rioters and people who want to burn down our communities. And we need to say yes, we support law enforcement. Yes. And we are not ashamed of it. And I recognized going into this that we had a bit of an uphill battle, but I'm happy to report that we go across Cook County, Lake County, St. Louis, and Cooch, and we're seeing a lot of people who are tired of business as usual. Good. For those of you who supported me, liked the Facebook page, donated your time, effort, money, I am very grateful. I hope to do you guys proud, and when elected, I'll always have an open line for the people and not the big money packs, not the bureaucrats, and most especially not anyone who says no to our way of life. Thank you guys for coming out. If you want any more information, visit my website, thomas3a.com. Thank you.